Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today at Life and In Between podcast. I am so thrilled and so excited because I have two wonderful ladies that are joining us today. Today, I have Jess. Now, I know for those that follow us or are familiar, Jess was a former guest and she's a podcast host. She actually has been so phenomenal in stepping in because unfortunately Patrick cannot join us today. Now, for those that don't remember, or I'm going to mention, Jess is her podcast is The Art of Showing Up. And so, for those that don't know or haven't heard, please follow her. Her podcast is fantastic. Now, I'm going to introduce a wonderful, extraordinary woman as well that I can't wait to start the conversation, the coffee chat. Her name is Holly Fair. Well, I'm going to call her Queen Holly. She's Queen Holly. She's so amazing. She's done some really great things. And now, Holly, if I'm not mistaken, you're a transformational coach, you're a
Correct.
keynote speaker, you actually are Tony Robbins trainer, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, amazing. So I know that there's a lot to unpack. You have so much to offer and bring. So can you share a little bit more with the audience and to us all the great things that you have done?
Wow, that is such a big question. I would love to talk more about that. My story, I am at a place in my life now where for the first time I'm 51, and it wasn't until about age 48, 49 where I could actually say, I love me. And before that, I didn't even like me. So this has been a journey from a history of there was sexual abuse as a child. Uh, Father left my mom early, felt abandoned as a kid, an adolescent, divorce, loss of a baby, infertility, and I had been in a really very dark place of depression, life. I had done a lot of great things, and I just never felt like life was really going to be anything that I wanted it to be. Uh, when you learn early on in your life, or at least when you are tricked into thinking that you're less, that you are worth less because of trauma and things, you don't necessarily see a bright, sunny future, and that's really where I'd been. I found myself in a super deep depression after losing a baby and not being able to get pregnant after that again. I gained a bunch of weight and life was bleak. I, in a Netflix induced stupor, I watched a Tony Robbins documentary, I'm Not Your Guru, on Netflix. And that event, I thought, oh, okay, this is it. This is amazing. I told my husband, let's watch this. We got to watch this. And then we are going. We are going to that event. And it's the Date with Destiny event. And it's a 6-day event where you go night and day. And it is all about designing the life, the future that you want. And I saw this as my chance to grab a hold of something. And this is like it. If this can't change me, I don't know what can. On the very last day of the event, I was called up on stage by Tony Robbins in front of 5,000 people to do a process. And in that process, as he, was uncovering the layers and seeing what it was that I was lacking, he said, okay, so you've got this new future now. What would you have to forget to go back to living that sad, depressed, horrible life? And out of nowhere, I said, I would have to forget that I am a queen. And I ceremoniously crowned myself there that day on stage, just, romped all over the stage and had my invisible scepter, and I owned it. And in that moment, 5,000 people in the audience were cheering for me. They were on their chairs, screaming, yelling, crying. It was so amazing. And in an instant, the story that I had that I wasn't good enough, that no one liked me, that I didn't fit in, all of that shifted, and I was able to see that, oh my gosh, all of these people are teaming me and I'm team them. That was a turning point for me that just I now take forward. And over the next while, several years, I started, this was back in 2018. I got a life coach, I got a personal trainer, I got a nutritionist, a dietitian, saw my doctor, really personal trainer, and I worked hard and I was able to shed weight. I was able to lose 145 pounds. So I am unrecognizable physically, even more so inside. The light and the love that I've always had were able to come out. And I now, as you mentioned, I'm a Tony Robbins trainer, and I have been on his stage multiple times with him again, speaking to his audience about this. Yes, transformation is possible and
Mhm.
it can last. You know, you do the work, it can last. And it is such a gift because now I am able to, through my healing, I've seen that the queen identity was what really worked for me.
Mhm.
Anchoring that in, and I can talk to you a little bit more about my crown experiment, where owning that identity has made me show up and therefore been able to help so many other women, especially who are in that place where feeling not enough, feeling that, gosh, has life passed me by? I don't have that spark that I used to have. And it's such a beautiful thing. So it's come full circle now. Speaking on Tony, facilitating Tony events, and going into the world with a new attitude.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And thank you for being transparent and sharing this on Life and in Between. You are like my sister because you and I share similar journeys. When you were talking about the transformation and going through all that, I can actually really definitely relate of losing a child, of being pregnant, and I experienced that infertility with my husband. So I've shared very similar journeys. I have successfully lost 102 pounds.
Yay!
Yay, I know. And so like when you were talking and I was hearing this, I felt the joy and and I understand where you were in a dark place in that dark spot and it's so difficult for women, for people in general when they find
Mhm.
themselves to just pull themselves out of it. Um, and I just want to commend you on doing that and claiming that you are a queen. We're all queens, you know?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we're all royal. It's not about, and for me, it was also defining what a queen is. Uh, some, in cultures, a queen, royalty is the colonization and the negativity, the overlording that, I rule over you. And it's no, no, no. To me, my divine queen, she is someone who she rules over her own destiny, no one else. She
Mhm.
lifts others, she lifts the people in her community, her family, the world in general. And she does it in a way that also helps reflect others. It's about, yeah, sometimes our crowns, and I do have my crown, my tiara,
Oh.
like, and I won't wear it the whole time here. It's about, sometimes they're on crooked. So, or they're dirty, and it's about like helping someone see, oh, you know what? Let's polish that up so you can put it back on and we can all shine. The more we shine, the more others are able to see that it is safe to shine. And then it just lights up the whole world.
I love that. I love that. Now, Jess, I know you probably have because I could see that the wheels are turning in your head and you have a question kind of slipping out, and I don't want to monopolize the time. Did you want to comment or say something?
Um, no questions at this time, but yeah, I do want to just commend you, Holly, for everything that you've, come through, that you've lived through. Because yeah, I think that everybody has a story. I know everybody has a story. Um, I've one to. I can't speak for, child loss or anything. But I have people that are very close to me who I've walked with as they had to navigate those waters. And as someone from the outside looking in, I can tell you it's it's difficult, just watching the people that you love have to navigate waters like that. Abandonment and just different things. Like I was catching Dan up right before we got started about my name and stuff. Just you know, abandoned at 3 days old and just
Oh,
lived in house after house after house with either relatives or sometimes teachers, sometimes school friends. But I think that yes, we carry our stories with us. They are always going to be a part of us, and I think that using that as a tool, as part of, what brings you up is such a beautiful thing. But yeah, I just wanted to commend you for, doing everything, showing up the way that you do, regardless of the day, the time, the weather, how you're feeling.
thank you. And just a question for you, let me know if you have found this to be true. Isn't it when you're able to get to a place of healing? I know I have found that I've been able to look back and actually be grateful for all the junk, all the sad things in that, wow, look at the person I'd be able to become from that. How would you feel about that?
I so I actually recently had a conversation with this with some of my coworkers. So by day I'm an engineer. So during the day sometimes well, most of the time I'm working in an office and I'm on a team of men who are incredible. They're all smart and they don't ever just, single me out for being a woman or anything. They actually it's the best team I've ever worked with. But that aside, we have conversations about life stuff and something like that came up and because somebody was like, "Man, you really had it hard coming up." I was like, "I did." But I can tell you right now that if I were to meet past me or child me, that A, she wouldn't believe where I'm at right now,
Yeah,
and B, she would be so incredibly proud of, you know, all the times that I have sat and, decided in my head, you know what, this is it, I quit, but something nudged me to keep going. So yeah, I think that looking back is definitely there's always gratitude for where I've come through, where I've come from. So anytime that I have moments like that, there's always that bit of gratitude and just gratefulness for continuing, for going,
yeah.
for staying, and so on.
Just to add to what you both amazing women have said. I know when I've been through my dark, looking back reflection, um, I do see it at the time living it. I question why. Why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? Why is this? And you feel like you're the only person that's going through this, and you feel so alone, and you don't feel um when you're in that depressive state, you feel disconnected from everyone, alone, and from the world, and you're like, no one can relate to me until you find women like you that
Hmm.
say, I relate to what you're saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going crazy. I don't feel alone, and I feel supported, and you can understand what I'm going through. And then looking back and saying, I went through this, and this shaped the woman that I am today. And it's a blessing in disguise. At the moment you don't see it as blessings,
Mhm.
those are transformational moments that shape us and make us become more empathetic, make us help us to be more aware that others are suffering, others are going through this, and we understand, and we're able to be more gentle, and so
Exactly.
so so that's, and hence why Life and In Between was formed. It was for this platform to provide that support to others that are out there that are listening, that they feel that they're alone. And so when Queen Holly, you speak, someone's going to say, oh my gosh, I love the idea of being a queen, and I'm putting this crown on my head, and I could definitely relate to what she's saying. And then they can listen to Jess and understand her journey. Yes, I was in foster care. I was going through this, and I can understand. And look, she became an engineer. What a powerful, strong woman, that there are days that in her mind she just didn't want to be here, but she was still here. And she wouldn't be here giving that inspirational talk or being on our former live, podcast and telling her story. And so yes, so this is wonderful. So to answer your question, I am grateful that it did happen, and that it shaped me, and it shaped and I'm sitting. I have the opportunity to sit in front of two beautiful women that are making ripple effects all across, the radio waves,
Hmm.
Um, Now, I did want to go ahead and ask you something, Holly, if you don't mind. I know you mentioned about the tiara, the queen.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you expand on a little bit more
Oh,
on
I
that?
would love to. For fun, I went on Amazon and thought, okay, I want to get a prop, for photos or whatever. And I I ordered a whole bunch. I know that this isn't probably, good to, oh yeah, I ordered a whole bunch and then returned all but one. I did my shopping around and I found this perfect one and I thought, well, I'll, take some photos. I was on a trip to Paris and we were in an old medieval fortress castle-y place and I put it on for photos in the castle, the queen, and I had so many people comment and say, "Oh, that's really cool. Oh, wow, and that's fun." I thought, hmm, interesting. Good to try wearing it more often. And I know I'll wear it for a month. And so I wore it everywhere I went, grocery store, weeding the front yard, walking the dog, the gym with this tiara. And then 30 days turned into 3 months, which turned into a year, which turned into just shy of 2 years. I wore it everywhere, and
Wow.
I mean everywhere. It allowed me to, and it did something that I didn't realize it was doing. My old story of nobody likes me, I'm unsafe. I gained so much weight to protect me, to cocoon me, shield me from interaction. I don't know if everyone who's ever been overweight has felt this, but I felt that the bigger I was, the more invisible I was. Just, yeah, okay, you can really just sort of fade into the woodwork. And subconsciously, I was doing that to myself because I didn't feel worthy of being seen.
Yeah.
Well, when you wear a big blingy, tiara around, people notice. It's it's not your norm, right? Getting putting the oranges in a bag at the grocery store, and I would get looks, and then I had the decision of do I do the normal, someone looks at me and I sort of, go about my business, or do I meet their gaze? And I met their gaze. And I would smile. And then it led to conversations. People would ask, oh, I would get a lot, is it your birthday? And it's not my birthday. And I'm living my queen life. And you're a queen too, and you're a king, and you're a sovereign. We all have royalty. It's not about being the queen, it's about being a queen. That's always been my thing to make sure people understood. And I found that that also helped me get past the I'm not worthy of being seen. Because it's like, yeah, when I'm wearing this, I'm going to show up. I am going to be on. I am going to allow the full expression of myself
Hmm.
come out. And it did wonders for me. I found that I smiled brighter. I talked with more certainty and direction. And it got to the point where I then realized, okay, I don't need to wear it anymore. That identity had been anchored in, fully anchored in, and alchemized into my every cell. And so now I wear it for fun. I wear it for photos and different things. I know that that is my identity. I now, with or without the crown, I walk with grace. I am a kind, good, loving queen. I raise others up, and I I'm always tickled inside when someone will, without knowing my story or the crown or anything like that, I'll just be walking into a room and someone will say, "Oh, you've got some amazing queen energy," and I'm like, "Ah." Thank you. Yeah, I built this woman. Thank you. So it shows. Um, and it also, by me being out there and doing something like wearing a crown, has given other people I've seen permission to, oh my gosh, whether it's a crown for them or whether it's like a feather boa, like something that really they feel shows their personality that maybe they weren't brave enough to
Mm.
wear before or to do. It's like, yes, we all like be yourself, be your own amazing, quirky, fun, delightful self in whatever way that comes across.
Right, something symbolic that
Yeah.
represents them. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a question. And feel free to answer or not. How did your husband feel about this when he
He
saw,
was he's been so supportive. Uh, He is just, he's like, okay, it's something she's doing. My mother, on the other hand, she was my harshest critic.
Mm,
In her world, it's not safe to shine.
Mm.
It's not safe to stand out. You keep your head down. She's like the worker ant. You just go and you do it, you follow along and you don't ask questions. And so for her, I know that her intention was to keep me safe. She didn't want people to be, mean or critical. In fact, we did a trip to Egypt and she was really upset. She's like, "You better not wear that." She's like, "Foreigners don't like Americans." And what if, I mean, this was as visceral as it got. She said, "What if they take it off your head and stab you with it?" And I'm like, "Mother," I'm like, "This is, that," and that showed me the depths of her um, upset that I was showing up so much, that she was that concerned about me. And I'm like, it's okay. I love you and I respect what you're saying, and I'm going to be me. She didn't get it. And I love her, and I bless her for it, that her path is different than mine. And I know there's a part of her that is in awe that I can be the person who is an expression of a full expression of myself. She's relieved that I'm not wearing it anymore. I'll say that. Um, and it was actually good though, because having her criticism allowed me to step back and see, okay, how might other people be perceiving me so that I can make sure that I do this in a way that is less abrasive, that is more um, approachable, because I never wanted it to be about, look at me, it was no, it's like, hey, I'm rising, we all rise. But my husband, he's been amazing. Yeah.
It's wonderful to hear. And it's when you mentioned that your mother, I know like our mothers have the best intention for us, and our female counterparts are our friends and all that, but sometimes they're the most critical women. We're so tough on each
mm,
other.
Yeah.
Like we're like we for so I don't know what it is, and I think this is I believe in this girl power. I really do, but sometimes I just see that women are the quickest to tear down another woman,
Mhm.
and it's so difficult. And I hope one day we can just get past that, and like in the case of your mother, I think it's because of a generational thing, and she
Yeah.
and it really is like focus, do your work, and kind of people
Yeah.
will notice you for the work that you do. Don't bring attention, be respectful,
Yeah.
and that's like a generational thing, and I get that. um and and it's amazing because I bet you anything that you opened her eyes, and she, and as you mentioned, she was like, wow, you're able to do something that I can never do. um
Mhm.
and I think that's a beautiful thing, because you actually showed, yeah, mom, I could do this, and look how many people I'm inspired. I mean, did anyone come up to you and say wonderful things while she was there? Like, did she see at any point?
She did a couple times, but she took it more as, oh, see, you're getting attention again.
Okay.
She was not, she had not worked it through enough with her, within herself to see that the attention that I was getting was positive. It wasn't, um, look at me, look at me. It was like, oh, wow, that's cool. To her, it was, oh, feeding into that again.
Okay.
I really, Diana, I found it fascinating what you said though about how women we can be so harsh on ourselves and each other.
Hmm.
And I find it really sad. And I know that as I've gotten more comfortable with me and taking compliments myself of if someone, we sort of are trained throughout our lives to someone says, "Oh, I like your dress." Women, "Oh, this old thing, oh, or oh, I got on the sale rack or whatever." We diminish the goodness and we then do it to each other as well. And I've found that as I am more able to accept the compliments myself, I feel comfortable giving them to other women. It doesn't diminish me saying that, "Jess, I love that hair, that, woo, I mean, you got it going on." It doesn't mean that my hair is any less fabulous or that
Exactly.
Diana's is any less fabulous. It's the wow, I see you and I can reflect, be a mirror to you of wow, you're amazing. That's why this let's uplift each other. Let's straighten each other's crowns. Let's help polish them up. Let's feed each other the positivity because in this world we are so minimized in a lot of ways that it's up to us to take control and to love on each other and to really amplify our voices and raise the vibration, raise the level of joy in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. One thing that, and you said something that kind of just reminded me of a conversation I had a while back. When a woman is very secure and confident in herself when she's not threatened by other women. I have been blessed to meet women like that are very confident and they're willing to take you under their wing, and
Mhm.
kind of guide you and become mentors and not feel threatened at all. And
Yeah,
they're okay with sharing that space. And then I've encountered women that are just like they feel like there's not enough space, and that if they make room and they feel threatened and they're not comfortable enough, that you will take their space, that limited
right.
spot, especially like when you're in the corporate sector, in the corporate world. It's like because there's little room for as you going up in the corporate ladder for women. And so
Right.
when a woman is getting into those corporate spaces, they feel threatened by another woman because you're going to take my seat. I'm not willing to share because they're not secure enough, I guess. And so when you mentioned feeling confident, you're able to share that space. You're willing to say, hey, let me bring you along. Let's go together. So, I know that you use the crown to build that confidence. What other ways do you think? And I would like to just kind of brainstorm like, are women that are listening to this? And I know that at one point or another, we've been guilty. I'm getting, and I'm sad to admit that I've been guilty that I've torn down women.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Unintentionally, and I realized, and I stepped back and said, why did I do that?
Mhm.
Unknowingly, and then I become aware of that. What can we do to kind of break that vicious cycle? Like, I mean, I know we're probably not going to come with the solution, but I mean, from your experience, I mean, what do you think? For ladies, what do you think would be a great way to try to tackle this?
Jess, would you like to go first?
Um, sure. So I I tend to be someone, and this is just like a generalization first before I get into the nitty-gritty of it. So because we hear that so much, like build each other up and everything. But I also believe that there are boundaries, right? Like we all have our own personal boundaries, and I think that we sometimes forget that when we go out into the world that our boundaries don't just stay, at home. They don't just stay in the office. We carry them with us everywhere we go. And so when it comes to moments like that, where there is tear down, where there is, the backbiting or just the meanness, right? I do my best to, as they say, read the room. And, I try to see. everything for, maybe this person's hurting and they're just lashing out. But on the other hand, it's like if there's no give, if there's no, you know, opportunity or open window, um, so to say, that sometimes I do have to make that decision that, I think I have to meet their energy and show them that, the world is ugly. People hurt us wherever we go, but that's not everybody, right? We hear that so many times, like not all so and so, not all people, not all whatever. Um, but I think that it's a really hard thing to watch and to determine, I want to build this person up, but they are fighting it so much. And I think that sometimes when we make that decision, it can sometimes end up, we end up being heartbroken because it's like, I want them to feel what I feel. I want them to see them for who they are. I want them to see them the way I see them. But sometimes it's hard to get them to be convinced that that's the truth, right?
Mm.
So I think in some cases, as like what you were mentioning, we have to let go
Yeah.
until because we can meet a person halfway, but if they're not willing to meet us at that point, we have to realize that they have to come to that point in their life where they're ready. And
Mhm.
unfortunately there's some women that women, people in general, they're not ready. And they're just so caught up in them in their own misery, in their own sadness, in their own despair. Uh, but we can be a lighthouse. We can shine and we can set the examples.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, and
that's
and admittedly, I was one of those people, because, and I've learned since then, years and years ago, I was bitter and I was angry and I was, this happens to me and, this happened and these people, I'm just, I was made to be left. That was my state of mind for a very long time in my life. And eventually I got to the point where I started to see that life is give and take, but if all you're doing is taking and taking and taking, then people are going to start taking themselves out of the equation. And that's why I shared what I shared because honestly, it's coming from personal lived experience. And so I learned, maybe I should listen to what they're saying. Maybe I should try to step back and see it from their perspective. And eventually I got to this place where yeah, I see you're hurting, but I know there's so much more in that person. There's so much more behind those eyes that I'm looking into. So, it's definitely a learning and growing experience every day, even these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jess, I really appreciate what you said about reading the room. And it is important to gauge people and their their mood, their expectation, their motivation with maybe the things that they're saying. And it's interesting because as much training and development as I've done, and now I coach people and train for Tony Robbins, there are still those people, those friends and family members in my life that they come to me with their problems and it's like, all right, I can totally help, Joe over here who's come to me with something, we've worked through it. Yet, my own friend comes to me and is just in the woe is me, oh, my life's so terrible. And look at this great advice I've given her, and she won't take it. And then it's been like, oh, well, gosh, how am I failing? Don't I have these skills that I think I've had? And I've had to realize that, oh no, it's not anything about my skills, it's about where they are. So
mm,
just thank you for bringing that up, that if someone is not ready to be uh, enlightened or to take responsibility also, uh,
Hmm.
it, there comes a point in our lives that, and I know in my 20s, I did the thing where I went from job to job and, you know, it was never my fault that anything happened. It was always, oh, I had a rude boss, or oh, my coworker was a jerk, or whatever. It was never my fault. And I look back now, and now when I see other people saying those things, and I go, oh, that was me at 20. Oh, yeah, okay. Uh, and I can have that much more grace with them of
yes.
that's where they're at. They're not yet taking responsibility for their part because we all have a part. We have ownership in anything, that
Hmm.
happens. And so, uh, figuring that out and giving others grace that Okay, it might not be their time to level up, and that's okay. And I can be the positive, loving, compassionate person who
Yeah.
sees the good and sees that we're all doing the best we can with the tools that we have,
Yep.
with the knowledge we have. Like my dear mom, and I love her. I, I, she's got cancer. She's been diagnosed with cancer, and so I know she's not going to be with me, forever. Which, I mean, that's a given. It's even more poignant right now. And I know she loves me and she would give her life for me. Um, and she just has not been in that place to accept that part of me. And that's okay. It's coming to with her knowledge, with her self-awareness. She hasn't been able to see me in the way that maybe I have wanted to be seen. And on the other hand, she has seen me in some of the most beautiful, loving ways that a human being ever could. And so it's loving on people, and it is giving attention to the people, feeding the positivity to the ones who are really, they're soaking it up and they're ready to soar. You take them under
Mhm.
your wing, and it's not just that I'm protecting you. It's okay, I'm going to help you. We're going to fly together, and you're going to, benefit from this lift, and we're soaring together. And so I love that question, Diana. How have you felt?
I got caught up in I'm going to be honest, when you said something that just stirred something inside of me, because first of all, let me just say, I'm sorry what you're going through right now with your mother, because I mean, it's one of those difficult things that when we have somebody that we love that has partaked and raised us, and then we're knowing that they're transitioning to that point of where they're going to leave us. They're going to depart. And my mother's has Parkinson's and she's declining rapidly. And so I am seeing the woman that I know diminish. And when you said that, you wish that, well, that she hasn't seen you in the light that you wish she would have seen you. And I can relate to that because my mother hasn't seen the woman that I want her to see, like I'm like that I've become, and she just doesn't see me because she's stuck in her own world, and it's difficult. And I know that there's so many people going through that because we have loved ones that are out there, and we so much want their acceptance. We so much want them to see all of our beautiful qualities that we have, and yet they haven't expressed it. They haven't said it. Or when we see them, in my case, like I see my mother's love for one particular sibling more.
Uh,
Mm.
The phone call comes in, and she lights up. And she's so happy and thrilled. And so you could hear her, and it's and he brings her joy in a way
uh-huh.
that unfortunately I don't bring her that joy that way, but
You bring her something different, I'm
I bring
sure.
her something different. And that's the part
Yeah.
where we begin to realize that it's okay, because we bring something different, as you were mentioning. We bring something different, and that love is different. So I got caught up on that. And so I know that there's some many people out there that are listening and that are going through that same thing, that we wish that we would have the people that we love and respect to see us in this way.
Mhm.
But we have to come to terms that they may never,
Yeah,
they may never, but we come up in different ways for them.
right.
And we have to accept that there are other people, when they look at us, we are their world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's where we have
that's
to
right.
take that and say, okay, this person doesn't see me in this way, but this other person does, and I'm their world. And so I
Right.
think that's where we have to kind of balance that out. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Am I?
Oh, I absolutely feel what you're saying. And sometimes people who love us and, just people in our spheres, not everyone is very skilled at telling the person, hey, I really admire this about you, or hey, like you're amazing. And I think a lot of it goes back to that confidence, the self, like their own self-worth. Uh, strong, confident people are more easily able to reflect that, wow, you're amazing, and express those things. People I've found who are less secure have a harder time, yet they'll tell someone else. So, person in my family, she will tell all the good things about, oh, well, this person, oh, and this person, yet she doesn't tell that individual how amazing. Like she'll tell everyone else how much, she adores me, yet I don't always hear it. I'll hear it from the other people saying, oh, she talks so highly of you and she says such nice things. Yet, even though we're really close, she isn't the first one to say, "Oh, you mean so much to me." It's that this other, ancillary personal, "Oh yeah, she loves you so much." Oh, okay. Well, that's good to hear. So, I think that that also occurs that we aren't necessarily fed what we want to be fed
Mhm.
by the people that we desire that from, sometimes because they don't have the capacity to say the words.
Yeah, difficult. And I could see that because I've, yes, had conversations where people in my life are sharing things about other family members. And they're like, I'm like, did you know so and so said this about you? I'm like, what? They think that of me? I didn't know. Wow,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. I'm like, yeah, because I think it's so hard to have that conversation and sit down and I think there are households, and let me back up a little bit, that there are households that it's so hard to say, I love you
Hmm.
and I
Mm.
appreciate you. And even though the person may genuinely feel it inside, but it is so difficult to say. And but yeah, it's so freely to it's so like I love that dress on you, and they use the word freely like that. But then to really say it to another person, um, I love you, I
Right.
appreciate you. It's so hard. Like the words are so difficult to come out, and they may feel it. And
Mhm.
it's just, I guess, going back, it's past traumas,
Yeah.
upbringings, things that happen
Hmm.
that make it so hard. But
Generationally, culturally, yeah, where we've all come from.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad that you did mention that you mentioned that those conversations aren't being held, maybe not directly to you, but with other people. And
Mhm.
and so they are coming, but they're not saying it directly to you because for whatever reason, the person doesn't feel comfortable enough. They don't have that confidence. They're not, so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy. Um, Jess, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Oh man. Um, I mean, I relate, yes, because I've also been met with, oh, they talk so much about you. They said, all these wonderful things about you, and you're kind of wondering like, why don't they say it to me about me? And especially whenever it's somebody that you like gas up all the time, right? Like, I have friends that I'm close with that are like that, right? And some of them I know it's just because they're working through some parts of their lives where they're getting there, and you can see it. You can see the growth and the development and everything. And these days, it's been for me to get to where I am now, like mentally, emotionally, everything, even physically, has been like a 10-year work in progress. And I have come through, being rejected by family and for being who I am. And I had to, tend to those wounds and everything. And I've learned that even taking that part of the conversation as little pieces of, this is how that person loves me. And while yes, it's going to be a great feeling to hear it come from them directly. In the meantime, like I said, I take it as kind of like an outline or a map to take with me so I can show everybody out there how to love me, right? Like
Mhm.
I learned how to love me from the people who love me. And even if it was secondhand information, secondhand, compliments and love and everything. But yeah, to touch on what Holly said about, the culturals and the cultural differences and the, generational things about, not being able to say I love you and the traumas and everything. Because I absolutely would not. I was somebody who, and you can ask probably Patrick and Rachel at some point. I struggled just making eye contact with people once upon a time, and I think it's just one part of it has to do with, where somebody is in their growth, where they're at in their life, but also I think again, like we've said, the cultural, the generational, the traumas and everything that we've come through tend to sometimes limit our ability to
Mhm.
our ability, humans in general, ability to
Absolutely.
be direct with the people that really matter to us.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's so great. I kind of wanted to pivot over onto something, Queen Holly, on something. I know a lot of your work revolves around people having limited beliefs
Hmm.
and having kind of like those mental blocks. Like they just have these mental blocks and they just can't get past. And can you tell me, how do you work through something like that, from your coaching and everything? I know, that's a big question. Like you could sit here and maybe talk about it, and I'm asking you to summarize it like in a little,
Right. In a
but
little
make it a little slow. Yeah,
Right.
bite-sized, and
yeah,
amuse-bouche.
yeah.
I think the biggest thing to get over the blocks is to really, it doesn't necessarily take, let's deconstruct all of the trauma because the trauma's there. It's about seeing, okay, that crap has happened in the past. Yes, like acknowledging it and seeing that that is how you have evolved and what has created you at this point. So at first, it's look at all the ways that you have succeeded, that you've lasted, you've survived. Like own that you are a survivor, first of all. And then it's okay, this next level in life you want to get to, who do you have to be? What parts of you do you need to bring forward that are already inside you? This isn't about like changing anyone. This is about harnessing your innate gifts, the beauty, the goodness, the juicy passions that you have inside of you, bringing those out. So what do you have to bring forward to get to that next level, to get to that beautiful life? To become the engineer, like what grit did you have to deep down inside, Jess, like muster up that like you built so let's say Jess was my client and let's say she wanted to, I don't know, become a hula dancer. It's like, okay, all right, you've become this beautiful engineer, this amazing, strong, independent engineer. Now, what skills do you have? What is inside of you? What beauty, what fun can now help you get to that hula dancer level? And so then we would build that identity and work on helping Jess own that hula dancer identity that she's adding to. So, my queen identity didn't replace, the other parts of me. She is an added piece of me. She's an added hat or tiara that I can wear. In this case, it would be a grass skirt for Jess. I hope you're okay with this
Oh, that's
with this
fine.
analogy here. Really, again, so it's about finding, okay, what is it inside of you that you want? How can we use your gifts, your beautiful, all that juicy goodness to then amplify and level up to get to that point? I have a client right now who is, she loves acting and singing. And so it's working on, all right, how do we get you from where, she's teaching right now. She's a teacher and she's dabbled in the arts and things. And all right, how do you now step up into that of owning that she is a damn good actress. She has charisma. Like, all right, let's get to that place where now she's going out for parts. And she got a commercial just the other day, so we were celebrating that about a commercial gig she got. That's really the big thing. And then it's putting all the tools in place, the strategies to be able to make that a reality.
Love
I
that.
like
I
that.
love it. And typically, I think it's a case by case because some people may have really quick breakthroughs, right? And
Mhm.
there are some that struggle because they don't know. I would imagine um, it's a case by case. How do you know when a person is ready and or they're, I mean, no, that's not a good question. I was about to say because the individual has to know themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, I think the breakthrough is when you finally have a person reaching out to you because they already know I'm at that level.
Yeah.
So if we have a listener right now that's listening and questioning and saying, I don't know. I'm lost. I have no idea. I don't know me. And what suggestions would you suggest that they can do to kind of discover themselves, you know?
Reach out. I am happy to do a no obligation call to just talk about, okay, what is it you see? I work with a lot of mostly women in their kind of their mid-age, where it's this discovery of kind of reinventing themselves of, all right, I've done all these things, I've had all these accomplishments. Now I just feel that something's missing. And oftentimes it is that pizzazz, it's that fire. Finding, okay, let's look at what you're passionate about. Where are your skills? Like, what do you feel has been missing? And then finding that and working. And it does take work, as I know both of you beautiful women know. It is not just an, oh, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and now my life's going to be perfect and like I'm going to have the life of my dreams. Oh, it takes work. Jess, thank you. I honor you for saying, yeah, it's taken me 10 years to get here. And I dare say it's taken you your whole life to get to where you are to
Absolutely.
work through and to
Yes.
peel back the layers. I know
Hmm.
Diana, I know you've also worked your whole life. So it's about, yeah, acknowledging, okay, this is what I've done to get to this point. Now, for me to find that passion and to really find the way that I want to live my next years. Give me a call. I am running a special. If you can book that no obligation discovery call, mention Life and In Between podcast, and there will be special rates for you. So I'd be more than happy to get with you and see how I can support you. And if I'm not the right coach, I will tell you right off. You know what? That someone else may be more suited. And if I don't think you're ready, I'll also say it sounds like there's some more work that you might want to do to really decide. And when you are ready, I'm ready with you too.
I love that. That's great. One thing that it just kind of, as you were talking, and it was just kind of went through my mind is that women, we have a tendency that we need to ask permission. Once we get the
Mm.
permission, we're able to move ahead.
Mm.
Like we hold ourselves back for some reason. Like we have to wait for someone to say it's okay to do that, you know?
Yeah.
And like we stop ourselves from doing many things because I haven't gotten the permission yet. And it's subconsciously, we do that subconsciously as well. Sometimes I've become aware of that. It was so funny that I became so aware that the podcast, I was given the permission to start the podcast and I caught myself doing that. Wait a minute. I should be doing this by my own, before I started it, I had to get permission. And then I said, why did I do that? That was
Mhm.
so and it's a constant thing. And I think that's one of the things that becoming self-aware. Let's just stop asking for permission. Or when we do it, acknowledge it and say, I didn't need to ask for permission. I am
Mhm.
my own person. I can move forward and do this. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, that was just a fleeting thought that came through, and I was like, I need to, do you think, or do you agree or disagree? Because I would love to see if you disagree, please tell me, and if you do.
Well, I find it fascinating what you brought up. And the thought that came to my mind right off was that, women, we were the hunter, the gatherers, the men were the hunters. And so there's a lot of talk between us of, oh, okay, you go to the berries and nope, it's the third bush down. Those are the ripe ones. The other ones are poisonous. Like, so there's a lot of talk, and we take our social cues from other people even more than the masculine does. Out there, they're making the decision, ready, aim, fire, where uh, evolutionarily, we've been the ones that have been more, uh, like communicative and let's hold council and talk about this. So I I don't have no answers. I wonder if part of that is that we've also been so ingrained that we get, like, oh, what do you think? Because I know I will find, like, I've got a big event, coming up. Like, I was going to be on a big stage, and so I took pictures of me in several dresses, and I sent them to all my friends. Okay, what do you think? And I had a poll going. And the funny thing is, in the end, I wore the dress I wanted to anyway. Uh, like, hello. Yet there was that part of me that wanted their input or permission. And most of them did say the dress that I chose. Yet I realized afterwards I was going to wear the one I had already decided on. I just wanted input. So I wonder if maybe that has something to do with it.
I think you're onto something on that. I really do,
Mm.
because I do believe, like, because one of the things I do admire in the men in my life, my husband, my two boys, and everything. Um, and I say all the time, I want to be more like you guys. And it's because they're able to make decisions. They don't even question it. This is
Yeah.
the decision that, like, they, it's the decide they make the decision. I see my husband where he takes charge and everything, and it's like, this is the choice I'm making.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm sitting here going through, what should I do this? And I'm asking for, can help me, guide me, all this. And it's like, just make
Mhm.
a decision. Like,
Yeah.
just do it. Just do it. And it's like,
Yep.
um, and so yeah, I think that you're onto something, because when you're out there hunting, you just got to make a decision.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it, versus, like, yeah, when we're preparing, cooking, we're doing all these things, we're more, we ask for the advice, we ask our advice from our parent, from, so from our friends and everything. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that may be one of the things. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I would say, just like anything, it's about let's learn. Let's develop that skill within ourselves. That, it doesn't have to be down to, well, evolutionarily, it served us to communicate. It's like, okay, now we're in a time where we're not out there, gathering berries anymore for sustenance. Yeah, we have control. We can take control. We can be decisive. We can make decisions for ourselves of, yes, this is what I want. This is what I will accept from people, how they treat me. This is how I'll live my life. So yeah, I think definitely that's something that we can flex our muscles and practice. Yeah.
I cannot believe that we're just coming up at time. I mean, the
Oh my
time just
goodness.
flew by. It just flew by. Like, I mean, like, wow. I did want to ask, because I think this is very important to ask. First of all, for anyone that wants to be able to get in contact with you, they say, like, my gosh, I need to get a hold of Queen Holly. Can you please tell us how our listeners, our audience, can get a hold of you, so that they can reach you, your social media, your emails, what would you?
Yes, my social media, Facebook, Instagram is at Queen Holly Fair. So it's Queen Holly Fair is my handle. And my email is holly at fireuplife.com. That's FIRE, fireuplife.com. And you can visit me at that same website.
Fantastic. And I'll make sure that in the description will include all that information in there as
Great.
well. And one last final thing, one last final question, unless Jess, you had something to ask. Did you have anything to ask or add, or?
Um, you know what? And this is magic, or I don't know what kind of sorcery it is, but every question that I've had, Deanna, you've asked. I do have one though that came up that, with all the talking that we've had, is that with like coaching and identity,
Mhm.
how important, Holly, is it for people to feel seen and validated before real growth can happen, in your opinion?
It's, I find that it's about seeing yourself.
Hmm.
It's about validating yourself of, wow, I am amazing. Like, I am a survivor. I am strong. I am intelligent. I am beautiful. I am powerful. Uh, because we can't control how other people see us or validate us. It's about first seeing it in ourselves. And then I believe it evolves into we choose the people around us who are going to be that way, who are going to validate the goodness because we have up leveled our lives and we're not taking the dregs and the leftovers. We're finding people who meet our greatness and they're also going to see us.
I like that. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much. And Holly, any final words, any life and in between moments that you like to share with our audience before we say goodbye?
Life and in between is a beautiful place to be. Every part of the process, every part of the journey. Love yourself. See the goodness within and pass that on. We all can make this world a better place.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a guest on Life and in Between, for sharing your story, for trusting us. I really
Oh, it's been an
appreciate.
honor to be with you both. Thank you so much, Jess. Thanks, Diana.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
And for our listeners, please, if you've shared this episode for someone that may need to hear it, for those that you love and that know that will learn from this, and thank you so much. You can find us at all the social media handles. We're out there in all YouTube, Spotify, and all that. If you want to reach us, you can reach us at Life and In Between podcast at gmail.com, and we're here, and any suggestions, or if you want to reach Holly or anyone else or Jess, please reach out to us and we'll get you in contact with them. And for everyone out there, I want you to have peace and love in your life.